Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Chen. Wuxian editor's key recommended novel. Upon waking up, Chen discovered that he had accidentally crossed the battlefield to the end of the Warring States period, becoming a soldier of the Qin state on the battlefield. He's a bit flustered. If you flee, you will become a deserter and you will undoubtedly die. In battle, if you behead one level, you will be promoted to the rank of one level. The Great Qin dynasty established its country with military achievements and a 20-level military merit title system, ranging from first-class nobles to 20-class feudal lords. Slave civilians can all be promoted to the rank of nobility through their military achievements, and even to the most powerful Marquis of Che. Just when Chen was restless and indecisive. The system has finally arrived, and fate has changed accordingly. When countless soldiers fought to the death to obtain titles by beheading level 1 or level 2, Chen had already beheaded level 10, level 100, and level 2 in the military. He is known as a fierce man in the military, a legendary figure in the military, and a god in the military and in the martial arts world. Gai Nye and Wei Zhuang. Even if we unite, it will be difficult to defeat this person. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Martial God and Injury Repair. New Book Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Pain. Intense pain. Chen felt as if his whole body had been pierced by a needle, with intense pain invading him everywhere, and a weak feeling spread throughout his body. Did you die? But how could it be so painful? Chen felt confused in his mind, but his consciousness was slowly returning. He instinctively wanted to open his eyes, but his eyelids were incredibly heavy and he couldn't open them no matter how hard he tried. Just at this moment, a few blurry sounds rang in his ear. "Hey, General, it seems like he still has breath." "Oh. Take it back and take a look." "Yes." After the sound was finished, he felt as if his body had been moved. However, as his body was moved, the intense pain stimulated Chen and he finally opened his eyes slightly. At a glance. Blue sky, white clouds, what a pure sky. As Chen sighed, a large, rough black face with a helmet immediately appeared in his eyes. Chen looked at the strange and rough man wearing armor in front of him with a somewhat wooden expression. "You're awake. TSK, you're really lucky." The person also noticed that Chen woke up and continued speaking to him with a sigh. "You have to endure it any longer. We'll go back to the camp now, where we can treat you." Chen listened with confusion. What is the situation? However, he can be certain of one thing. He didn't die, but he was seriously injured. Shouldn't we go to the hospital now? Back to what camp? And why is this guy wearing this strange outfit? Just as Chen was puzzled in his heart. Suddenly, a severe stabbing pain came to Chen's mind, causing him to scream out uncontrollably. As the piercing pain spread, a strange memory appeared in Chen's mind like a movie. Feeling the unfamiliar scene, Chen widened his eyes in disbelief. As a modern soul, he soon understood what was going on. This is he has traveled through time. And it traveled to a young man with the same name and surname in the late Warring States period of the Qin state. Not long ago, he had just experienced a major battle and was seriously injured by the enemy. He passed out in a coma. Now, this scene should have been saved by the soldiers who cleaned the battlefield. After confirming the facts, Chen felt a bit confused. He was originally a fresh graduate student, preparing to embark on a graduation trip and then immerse himself in the magnificent revolutionary cause. But unexpectedly, before the revolutionary cause began, he had already sacrificed himself on the journey and now he has traveled to this world. The key crossing is crossing. It's not just about emperors and generals, but it's not even about wealthy families. Surprisingly, it crossed over to a most ordinary soldier who was seriously injured and dying. What's going on? Yang Chen felt sad in his heart. This is too tragic. Is he so lucky to survive if he recovers from his injury and goes to the battlefield again in the future? As for escaping, I learned from my memory that if I were a deserter, it would be better to die in battle than to end up in a miserable situation. At this moment, as his body was carried onto the carriage and the carriage camp was moving, the bumps intensified Yang Chen's physical pain and injuries, while also destroying his injured soul. Yang Chen's mouth was brimming with blood, his eyes staring blankly at the sky. Sadly urging. Yang Chen let out a scream, believing that he must be the most miserable traveler in history. Forget it. Take it as it comes, the most important thing now is to survive first. Yang Chen forced himself not to think about the future. He wanted to hold his breath and not wait until he arrived at the camp to hang up. Ding dong, the martial god system has been activated and is loading. 25%. 50%. 75%. Ding dong, the Wushan system has been loaded and successfully bound to the host's soul. Ding dong, we have detected that the host's injury is too severe. Do we need the system to repair the injury for free? Just as Yang Chen's mouth was constantly bleeding and his eyes were staring blankly, a mechanical and emotionless sound rang out in his mind. In an instant, Yang Chen's lifeless eyes suddenly widened, revealing an extremely excited gaze, just like a struggling person seeing a glimmer of hope. System. Sleeping trough, the system has descended. Yang Chen felt tears streaming down his face. In his past life, he was a seasoned internet literature enthusiast and naturally understood what was going on. This was the benefit of being a traveler. At this moment, Yang Chen has no hesitation. If he doesn't repair his injury, he will die. Fix. He quickly spoke in his heart. Ding dong, the system is repairing the injured body for the host, and the host's injury will heal within 24 hours. After the system finished speaking in a crisp voice, Yang Chen clearly felt that the pain all over his body had decreased significantly, and the feeling of weakness had also decreased significantly, giving his whole body some strength. Yang Chen knew that this was when the power of the system began to take effect. Yang Chen breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Despite his humble identity and almost dying from serious injuries, the system had finally arrived and there was still a chance for his fate to change. As the injury improved slightly, Yang Chen couldn't resist learning about the system. Are you a martial god system? Yes, the host. This system is designed to assist the host in becoming a generation of martial gods. The host still has a beginner gift package that has not been claimed. May I ask if the host has claimed it? Oh. Novice gift pack. Get it. Upon hearing this, Yang Chen was tempted. He was just about to ask, but he didn't expect the system to be so considerate. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the secret script, Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita skill. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 3 skill pills. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 3 top-grade healing pills. Ding dong, may I ask if the host automatically understands the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique. A series of sounds sounded in the system. Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita skill. Isn't this the martial arts practiced by the Golden Wool Dharma King in the Divine Eagle? This is the supreme protective divine skill of esoteric Buddhism. The Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique has 13 layers, each containing the power of 1 dragon and 1 elephant. After practicing for 10 layers, it possesses the tremendous power of 10 dragons and 10 elephants, with each move possessing 1,000 pounds of power, making it powerful. Moreover, the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique is a combination of attack and defense, which is very good for both protecting the body and attacking. Understanding. Yang Chen didn't hesitate. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for integrating and understanding the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique, and achieving the first level of Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique. At the moment when the voice sounded, Yang Chen felt a wonderful and profound understanding in his mind, and a warm current was generated in the dantian area of his body, flowing towards his limbs and bones, making Yang Chen feel very comfortable. Ding dong, the host has 3 complementary power pills. Do you want to use them to enhance the realm? Upgrade. Yang Chen said decisively, having a certain ability to protect his life first. Ding dong, congratulations to the host. Chapter 2. Veteran General Wang Yi, achieve merit in the first battle. New. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for using 1 power pill. The Dragon Elephant Wave technique has been elevated to the 3rd level. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for using 1 power pill, which has elevated the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita skill to the 5th level. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for using 1 power pill to elevate the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita skill to the 6th level. Shwa shwa. Yang Chen could only feel the rapid and massive warm current inside his body. A warm current resembling a small stream quickly appeared, continuously flowing towards his limbs and bones, making Yang Chen feel much more comfortable. After repairing his injuries through the system and containing the 6-fold power of the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique, Yang Chen's spirit improved significantly with the circulation of internal energy. Despite being jolted, he no longer felt as much pain in his body. Although it still looks extremely miserable at this moment, it is many times better than at the beginning. After 24 hours, Yang Chen's injuries healed and he was sure to be thriving. Squeaking while Yang Chen was quietly understanding the system, the group quickly returned to the camp. Quickly, quickly. Carry them to the wounded soldiers' camp. Be careful, the military doctor is here. Notify the military doctor to come over immediately. I saw the general quickly give orders, directing many soldiers nearby to transport wounded soldiers. Yang Chen was carried by 2 soldiers and quickly arrived at a huge tent. 2 soldiers placed Yang Chen on a simple bed in the camp, and then an old man wearing military uniform and carrying a medicine box hurriedly came to Yang Chen's face. The old man seemed to be an experienced military doctor, and he quickly took off Yang Chen's armor, revealing his flesh and blood-blurred chest. The old military doctor looked at the blood and flesh-blurred chest and sighed at Yang Chen, "You are really lucky. Even if you are injured like this, you can still wake up. I think you haven't been injured to the fatal point. You hold on to the pain, I'll medicate and bandage you." Yang Chen held back and didn't say much. In fact, his injuries had been systematically repaired and his body was basically healed. Although his appearance looked blurry, it was not serious. Quickly, the old military doctor applied various strange medicinal powders to Yang Chen, and then wrapped his wound tightly with a cloth strip. After finishing all this and instructing Yang Chen to rest well, he hurriedly headed towards the other wounded soldiers. At this moment, the tent was filled with wounded soldiers lying down everywhere, groaning and unbearable screams of pain filling the tent. Moreover, wounded soldiers are constantly being carried into the camp, while soldiers who have lost their breath are also being carried out of the camp. Watching this scene, Yang Chen remained silent in his heart. At this time, without good medical means, many people who can be saved cannot be saved. Moreover, there is no anesthesia, and all kinds of pain can be overcome by gritting one's teeth. It is difficult for someone with strong willpower to withstand it. Yang Chen couldn't bear to look more, and he began to organize his thoughts in his mind. He is now a member of the Qin army and a new recruit who has been conscripted into the army for less than a year. At this time, the army of the state of Qin was attacking Shandong County of the state of Zhao, and the commander of the army was the veteran general of the state of Qin, Wang. This morning, the Qin army and the Zhao army had just engaged in a major battle, and the Zhao army was defeated, but the Qin army also suffered some casualties. Unfortunately, Yang Chen is one of the glorious members. Wang Gui. Shandong County. Isn't this the battle of Wang Shi's capture of Shandong County? Yang Chen quickly confirmed that he was right, because at this time, the great king of Qin was King Xuanxiang of Qin. During this period, Wang Yan led a large army to capture various cities in Shandong County and incorporated them into the territory of Qin State, becoming Taiyuan County of Qin State. Step by step, as Yang Chen was thinking about it, 3 generals wearing full armor and long swords marched like dragons and tigers into the camp. The leader was a majestic old man, although his beard and hair were all white, his spirit was flickering. At this moment, he looked around at the many wounded soldiers in the camp. Upon seeing the arrival of this veteran general, some of the milder injured soldiers in the camp struggled to pay their respects. You don't need to be polite, everyone, lie down quickly, the injury is severe. The veteran general quickly lowered his voice to stop the soldiers from struggling anymore. This veteran general is now the commander-in-chief of the Qin army, Wang Shi. Unexpectedly, the commander-in-chief of the 3 armies came to visit the wounded soldiers. At this time, Wang Shi had very high qualifications and prestige in the military. Especially with the passing of the famous General Bai Qi, as one of the few veteran generals in the state of Qin, he had a great influence in the Qin army and was deeply respected by soldiers. He personally visited the wounded soldiers, which moved the hearts of the injured soldiers in the camp. Especially after Wang Yan promised everyone that there would be rewards, many injured soldiers were even more excited. Do you know that these soldiers fight to the death just for military merit and rewards? Although I am injured now, it would be worth it if I could receive some rewards. Soon, Wang Jian left and headed to other wounded soldier camps. Yang Chen's mood is calm. Now, the most important thing for him is to recover from his injuries and wait for them to heal before entering the battlefield. He has already figured it out very clearly. Now that I am in the state of Qin, and I am also in the military, I am a soldier. It is impossible to be a deserter. The only way to quickly rise is to establish military achievements, obtain titles and status through military achievements. At this time, after the reform of Xiangyang, the state of Qin highly valued military achievements from top to bottom, and had a very complete and powerful system for promoting military achievements and titles. From the lowest level of first-level noble title to the highest level of 20-level noble title, as long as you obtain the corresponding combat achievements, you can obtain the corresponding title. Countless civilians are fighting desperately, just to establish military achievements, obtain titles and status, and change their destiny. Even the nobles in the palace who want to inherit their father's title must have made military achievements, otherwise they cannot inherit the title. Many famous generals, including those in the future, climbed through the pile of dead people and accumulated countless military achievements before stepping up. One achievement will wither the bones, and that's it. Now, through the system, Yang Chen has comprehended the 6th level of Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita and has a certain level of self-protection strength. Establishing military achievements is the best way. Ding dong, the main task of the system has released first battle merit. The host is required to participate in the battle within 30 days, with at least 1 level of beheading and earning a title of noble or above. Completing the task will earn rewards such as Yang family marksmanship and martial god value plus 100 points. If the mission fails, the martial god value will be deducted by 100, and the mission will continue. Just as Yang Chen was thinking, the sound in his ear rang out. P.S. We need your support for the new book. We would like to collect flowers, evaluate and reward everything. Thank you for your support. Chapter 3. War rises, go to the front and kill the enemy. New book. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The system has released the task. Yang Chen's eyes sparkled with excitement, and the reward turned out to be the Yang family's marksmanship. This is the top-notch marksmanship in military combat. If you learn this marksmanship, Yang Chen's combat strength will definitely greatly improve. There are also 100 martial god points, and Yang Chen has learned through the system that a reward can be drawn for every 100 martial god points. The task rewards are very generous. Yang Chen has no reason not to take on this task, and he already wants to make achievements through combat. After making up his mind, Yang Chen calmly cultivated himself and secretly practiced the Dragon-Elephant Prajnaparamita technique. Quickly, a few days passed. Yang Chen's injury has long recovered, and under the influence of the system, he has not even left any scars. However, in order to avoid obvious abnormalities, Yang Chen lay in bed for a few more days. Anyway, the military doctor was amazed when he saw Yang Chen, who was originally on the brink of death, transform into a lively and energetic person in just a few days. He exclaimed that this guy's physique was too strong. Actually, Yang Chen can lie down for a few more days, but the task time given by the system is not very long. If Yang Chen misses the time and has not yet participated in the battle, resulting in the failure of the mission, then he will be forced to do so. On this day, Yang Chen had just entered the army and had not been training for long. Dong dong dong. A huge war drum suddenly sounded. The 100 generals, 100-person generals, in charge of training quickly shouted loudly. Quick! Quick! Everyone gather! Hearing the sound of war drums, many soldiers knew that war was about to come. There was no hesitation at the moment, so they gathered together one after another, and then quickly lined up and left the military camp under the leadership of the 100 generals. At this moment, teams of soldiers, led by their respective generals, also left the military camp one after another. Step by step the army began to gather in front of the barracks. In about half an hour, the army had almost assembled. At a glance, this place was densely packed with black flags and soldiers everywhere. Yang Chen didn't know how many people had been deployed, but at this moment, his eyes sparkled and his heart was filled with a sense of war, both excited and nervous. Due to his original memory, Yang Chen was no longer unfamiliar with the war scenes, but after all, this was his first time personally going to battle and killing enemies, and he couldn't help feeling a little nervous in his heart. After waiting for a while, the army quickly gave a command and set off. The army maintains its formation and begins to depart. Yang Chen forced an infantry soldier, without any horses, to run along with the team. Roaming and rumbling, the army set off with a loud roar. The Qin army had strict military regulations, and even if a large army was marching, its military appearance was very neat. And most importantly, under the stimulation of the military merit and title system, the Qin people became brave and aggressive, so the overall momentum of the team was very majestic. After a continuous march of about 30 miles, a city can be seen standing from a distance. And from within that city, teams of soldiers swarmed out, also beginning to gather in front of the city. Finally, the army stopped at a distance of 5 miles from the city and confronted the Zhao army surging from the front of the city. The Qin army's camp kept giving orders and quickly adjusted its formation, while the same troops and horses from the Zhao army were also rapidly adjusting and changing their formation. Yang Chen felt a bit nervous and hopeful in his heart. His unit was in a combat formation, which meant he had to go on stage to kill the enemy. At this moment, in the front of the army, veteran General Wang is standing on a tank, constantly giving orders and making final preparations for the battle. At the same time, every general in the army was admonishing and sternly admonishing his subordinates. The captain of Yang Chen's 5-member team also spoke solemnly to the few people, remember to obey orders and cooperate in combat. Remember, don't be greedy for achievements, act recklessly, or lose your life in vain. Everyone nodded solemnly. Although they are all new recruits, it is unknown how many times they were warned during training. Dong dong dong. The sound of war drums to boost morale began to ring, and all the soldiers of the two armies were tense, with a strong murderous aura on their faces. A life and death battle was about to begin. Woo 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 woo, the deep and majestic attack horn suddenly sounded. On the chariot of the Chinese army, veteran General Wang drew his long sword and pointed it directly at the army ahead. A powerful and murderous roar sounded. "Kill me! Kill!" The army suddenly responded, shouting loudly and gathering earth-shaking, with a rolling murderous aura sweeping towards the Zhao army. Countless soldiers began to charge. Zhao Jun also refused to be outdone and began to charge. In an instant, the two armies met, and the screams of agony kept ringing, enveloping the sky with a strong murderous aura. In the army, young Chen was full of fighting spirit and was also charging forward with the team. However, he was a sword-wielding infantry, not a cavalry or spearman at the forefront, so he was not the first to contact the enemy. "Kill me!" Bang bang! The loud sound of collisions and shouts of killing kept ringing, and the two armies kept charging forward. After a period of fighting, both armies were broken through in their respective formations, and soldiers from both sides entered each other's formations and engaged in a melee. Finally, Yang Chen encountered the rushing Zhao army. Kill! Yang Chen and countless Qin soldiers next to him were full of murderous intent, wielding their long swords to slay the Zhao army. This posture seemed as if they were afraid of being preempted if they were one step slower. Yang Chen's heart was tense, and he was in a battlefield full of flesh and blood, where either you or I would die. He couldn't even think of anything else. He watched the enemy's arrival expressionlessly and quickly swung his long sword to slay the approaching enemy. Bang! The combination of gold and iron collided with tremendous force. Yang Chen had already mastered the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique, which not only protected his body but also transferred a part of it to his hands. Therefore, the sword he swung was extremely powerful. The enemy, who struck with just one sword, hesitated and retreated in shock. He didn't expect the young-looking guy in front of him to have such great strength. Watching the enemy stagger back, Yang Chen's cold and sharp eyes flickered, and he swung his sword to seize the opportunity to kill. However, at this moment, the enemy's fellow soldiers saw the situation and waved their swords to block Yang Chen's long sword, causing Yang Chen to return without success. Faced with four soldiers, Yang Chen's expression was cold and fierce, without stopping, as he continued to wield his bronze sword. Bang bang! The few people were repeatedly pushed back by the tremendous force of Yang Chen's long sword. However, the few people next to Yang Chen and Wu couldn't react, and they saw that Yang Chen was forcing several enemies to fight back in an instant. Kill! Several people simultaneously exerted their strength and killed in an instant, making it impossible for them to work together to resist Yang Chen. Yang Chen was restrained by a few people, and at this moment, he gradually adapted, became more calm, and reacted faster. With cold and sharp eyes, he stared at an enemy who was frantically defending, and his long sword slashed down directly. Ah! In an instant, the enemy screamed in agony. He was already caught off guard, and his companions were also restrained, unable to resist in time. With a single sword, Yang Chen slashed through his armor and pierced his chest, bleeding profusely. However, due to the protective effect of the armor, he was not dead yet, and he was frightened and wanted to retreat. Unfortunately, Yang Chen was very fast and didn't wait for him to retreat. His long sword fell down again in his hand, carrying tremendous power and piercing through the enemy, completely killing him in an instant. Hissed the people next to him, and the enemy saw Yang Chen killing an armored soldier so quickly, and they all took a cold breath. This guy is so fierce. Chapter 4. 15 Levels of Decapitation. What are the military achievements? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Good kid, you have made contributions. The nearby Chief Wu saw this scene and gave him a thumbs up. However, Yang Chen caught a glimpse of Wu Chang's left side, his eyes sharp, and his long sword suddenly swung. Bang! The long sword blocked a long sword that an enemy had swung towards, saving Captain Wu from a difficult situation. Chief Wu reacted and his face turned pale with fear. Thank you very much. Wu Chang only had time to express his gratitude to Yang Chen, and then swung his sword to kill him. "Hey, if you're dead, my credit will be in vain." Yang Chen grinned heavily and quickly flew his long sword, taking advantage of the moment when all the surrounding enemies were blocked. With one sword, he cut off the right ear of the newly killed enemy and put it into his cloth bag. The Qin army must have evidence to judge military merit, either beheading or ear cutting. This military regulation relies on the enemy's right ear, so Yang Chen cannot fall behind. After finishing it instantly, Yang Chen didn't stop at all and continued to pounce on the enemy. Meanwhile, Captain Wu, who was fighting next to him, caught a glimpse of Yang Chen's bravery and felt both admiration and surprise in his heart. "We'll follow him to kill the enemy." Quickly, he spoke to the few people around him, saying that fighting with such fierce men would make them much safer and easier to behead and achieve success. A few people next to him were still unaware and surrounded Yang Chen to kill the enemy. And Yang Chen is also willing to fight with a few people around him, so his danger level will also be reduced significantly. Kill. At present, where did Yang Chen stay? The long sword kept charging towards the enemy in front. The place is filled with screams of killing, screams of agony, and the sound of collisions between gold and iron, creating a scene that is incredibly brutal. Ah! Another scream sounded. Finally, the second enemy was killed by Yang Chen's long sword. At this time, Yang Chen possessed the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique to protect his body, and his strength was not greatly depleted. He still had a strong killing intent and continued to kill. Soon. The third one. The fourth one. The fifth one. When the fifth enemy fell under Yang Chen's sword, both the Qin army and the enemy soldiers around were looking at Yang Chen in shock. This young guy is so brave, his strength is so terrifying and powerful. Even experienced veterans in the military may find it difficult to achieve level 5 beheading. Especially the enemy, many of the enemies who fought against Yang Chen felt the terrifying power of Yang Chen and looked fearful, afraid to continue fighting against Yang Chen and wanting to retreat. Unfortunately, how could Yang Chen make the enemy easily retreat? The bronze long sword swung rapidly and continuously, chopping and sweeping across. The screams of agony continue to ring. The sixth one. The seventh one. Eighth one. The ninth one. As the number of people killed increased, Yang Chen was also covered in blood, appearing somewhat ferocious and terrifying. And the enemy looked at Yang Chen, both shocked and angry. This guy was so terrifying that he killed nearly 10 of them in a row. Everyone join me in killing him. Finally, a centurion in the enemy saw that Yang Chen had killed several soldiers in a row, and the frightened soldiers dared not step forward. He immediately pointed his long sword in anger. After a roar, he personally wielded his sword and killed Yang Chen. Shua shua. 6 or 7 soldiers followed the centurion, who were simultaneously beheading Yang Chen. Yang Chen's gaze was cold and sharp. These were all soldiers of 100 battles. He did not choose to confront them head-on, but instead swam and dodged. Kill. The Qin army was already larger in number than the Zhao army, and was incredibly brave. When the other party gathered 6 or 7 soldiers, they couldn't kill Yang Chen in an instant. Soon, many Qin soldiers next to Yang Chen reacted. Looking at these unmatched enemies, everyone rushed to kill them. And Yang Chen's killing intent was even more vigorous, and he swung his sword towards the centurion. The centurion repeatedly resisted Yang Chen's several swords, relying on his hard armor to fight for a while. Unfortunately, he was still unable to resist Yang Chen's sharp sword and was pierced through his chest by Yang Chen's sword, resulting in his death. Behead the 10th one. Kill well. The 100 generals, including 100 soldiers, next to Yang Chen immediately cheered loudly upon seeing it, and their hearts were filled with great joy. Having a soldier under his command who continuously slays the enemy like this would greatly benefit his military achievements. And the battle is still ongoing. While many people had already lost their strength and were panting with exhaustion, Chen was still killing. Although he was also a bit tired, he was still far from weak. Kill. The 11th one. The 12th one. 13th one. When Chen killed 13 people. Woo suddenly, the deep horn of the enemy's retreat sounded. The enemy is retreating. In an instant, the morale of the Qin army skyrocketed, with deafening screams and the sound of slaughter rising into the night. At this moment, Chen also exuded a strong murderous aura all over his body, staring at the enemy who was about to retreat and continuing to kill them. Bang bang. Quickly, 2 enemies who were constantly retreating were killed by Chen. Chen intends to pursue again. At this moment. Woo the deep retreat horn of the Qin army also sounded. Even if Chen felt unwilling, he would not charge forward anymore. After hearing the sound of the horn, many Qin soldiers next to him did not charge anymore and began to retreat. Just at this moment. Countless soldiers retreating nearby instinctively looked at Chen, both surprised in their hearts. Because they saw this young guy incredibly brave in the battle just now, as if he had killed many enemies. This guy will definitely receive a title and generous rewards. And the few people who fought alongside Chen, who were always fighting beside him, were already horrified in their hearts. Others don't know how many people Chen has killed. But they see it very clearly in their eyes. This guy killed 15 people in a row. Oh, my goodness. This guy is just an ordinary soldier, and not a single member of his army has died. His beheading will be counted as his military achievements. And they know that by beheading 1 level, they can earn a rank of 1. What kind of credit should he receive for his outstanding military achievements? Chapter 5. Reporting military achievements and Wang Shi's attention. New. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The people next to them were amazed in their hearts. Especially this guy is a newcomer who has been in the army for less than a year, and even veteran soldiers who have been in battle cannot match his military achievements. However, at this moment, apart from being amazed, they were more excited. Because they followed Chen and fought against 1 or 2 people, they will also gain military merit. Your military achievements. They fought to the death, not to be granted titles for their military achievements. In an instant, they looked at Chen with gratitude. If it weren't for Chen being by their side, they wouldn't have been so easy to achieve military success. Woo the sound of a huge retreat horn echoed, and the Qin army retreated like a tide. Because not far away is the city of Li, the capital of the Zhao army. If you attack without preparation, you will definitely suffer heavy losses. Step by step the Qin army quickly retreated and only stopped after continuously retreating to a safe place 10 miles away from the city. The army began to camp, repair and wait for the next action. At this moment, after experiencing a fierce battle, countless soldiers were already exhausted. After setting up their camps, they began to rest. The second day. In one of the continuous barracks. Dozens of soldiers were looking at Chen with incredulous eyes. Because just when he reported his military achievements, there were actually as many as 15 people reporting his military achievements. 15 people were beheaded in full. The people in the entire camp were stunned to see that this young guy had beheaded 15 armored soldiers. This is simply unbelievable. What is the concept of a new recruit killing 15 armored soldiers? You should know that among the dozens of people in this camp, except for him, the only one who reported the highest military achievements was a veteran who beheaded 3 people. And in the entire camp, only he beheaded 3 people alone, while the rest either had no military achievements or only killed 1 or 2 people. But this guy beheaded 15 people alone. Everyone's gaze towards Chen was filled with shock, and at the same time, there was an incredibly strong envy. The system of military achievements and titles in the Great Qin dynasty was calculated based on the number of beheadings. By beheading one person, one can obtain a first-level noble title. In addition to the annual salary for the title, one will also be given a field, one residence, and one servant. As for what titles and rewards a new recruit can obtain by beheading 15 people, they are not clear, nor do they know how to calculate them. Because they are just ordinary soldiers and don't even have a title, they would be overjoyed to earn a first or second level title. As for a higher title, they never thought about it. However, one thing is certain. They know that this guy will inevitably be promoted several levels in a row after this battle, and even become their leader. Brother Yang, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Now that you have built this battle merit, you will definitely be highly valued. Please take care of me in the future. Wu Chang and Shi Chang, who were next to Yang Chen, walked over and politely spoke to Yang Chen. Wu Chang and Shi Chang are polite. We have fought together and will take care of each other in the future. Yang Chen watched as the few people politely responded, but he did not show any arrogance for his achievements. In addition to Wu Chang and Shi Chang, even higher-level village chiefs and 100 generals came to Yang Chen's side, both delighted and amazed. The military achievements of the village chief and the 100 generals were closely related to the number of beheadings of the soldiers below. This time, Guang Yangchen alone killed 15 people, which made them extremely happy in their hearts. Because they had gone through several major battles without being promoted, the title was unexpectedly achieved in this battle. For Yang Chen and his team, they love him immensely, wishing he could stay in his own army forever and earn military achievements for himself. But they are also aware that such fierce people will definitely be valued and will soon surpass them. Yang Chen also politely dealt with them. In fact, he was also curious in his heart, and with his military achievements, he didn't know what title he could obtain. In his memory, he knew that to obtain a first-class title, he only needed to behead an armored warrior and ensure that no one in his army was seriously injured or killed. But he is not clear about second-class titles and above. However, he understood that it was not as simple and crude as killing one person to advance to a higher rank, otherwise promotion would be too easy. The barracks of the Chinese army where the commander-in-chief Wang Xian is located. In the huge tent, the veteran Wang Xian, dressed in military uniform, was standing at the top, while below him stood various generals in rows. Wang Yan had a solemn expression on his face and was walking back and forth. Below, there is a general speaking. General, according to the construction of the last general, we should capture Li City with a large army. Li City is an important city of Shandong Commandery. If Li City were to descend, the cities of Shandong Commandery would surely easily descend. As soon as the general finished speaking, one of them stood up and clasped his fists, saying, "General, I don't think we should act too hastily. The strength of the Zhao army still exists, and they are defending the city. If we attack Licheng, our army may suffer significant losses." I don't agree with General Zhang's words. Now that our soldiers are in high spirits, they are eager to fight first. If we don't attack Li City and instead attack other cities, we will inevitably face fierce resistance from them. At that time, this battle will not only last for a long time, but the number of casualties will definitely be considerable. I will agree with General Li's view. Several generals expressed their opinions and debated. In the midst of intense discussion among the crowd, the pondering Wang Ting stopped and raised his arm to stop the argument. All the general's words are reasonable. The general has already made a decision, and the city of Li must be attacked. However, before attacking the city of Li, our army needs to make sufficient preparations. Wang Ting spoke in a deep voice. When everyone saw that Wang Yi had made a decision, it was difficult to argue anymore. At present, everyone began to discuss how to win Licheng with minimal loss. Step by step at this moment, a soldier quickly walked into the camp. "General." The soldier saluted respectfully. Have you calculated the losses and beheading numbers of each battalion?" Wang Ting looked up and saw the military supply officer Colonel Chen Fong entering, nodding his head and saying in a deep voice. Yes, General. 800 soldiers were injured and 650 were killed in battle in each battalion of our army. The total number of enemy soldiers beheaded is 2,500. This is the list of soldiers beheaded in each battalion. Please take a look, General. Colonel Chen Fong quickly spoke and then handed a bundle of bamboo slips to Wang Jian. The generals of each department were not surprised to hear the number of casualties and beheadings. The Qin army not only had a numerical advantage, but also had stronger morale, combat power, and main generals than the opponent. Unfortunately, neither side has deployed all their forces to fight. Otherwise, if this battle could eliminate most of the opponent's strength, it would be easier to capture Li City. Wang Yan took the bamboo slip and sat upright behind the table, spreading it out. There were too many personnel on the list, and he quickly glanced at the numerous records on it. Just as he was about to roll them up and hand them over to Chen Fong for public display, his movements suddenly hesitated for a moment. Immediately after, his thick eyebrows raised, his eyes widened, and he stared closely at a name on the bamboo slips. Chapter 6. 100 Generals Wang Jian, Publicizing Military Achievements. New. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The generals of each department were slightly curious when they saw Wang Yan's eyebrows twitching and he looked closely at the strange expression on the bamboo slips. General, but have those 100 generals Wang Jian made military achievements again? A general asked tentatively. The other generals were a bit confused upon hearing this. I'm afraid so. The first 2 times this guy killed 6 people in a row, which caught Wang Gui's attention. As a result, he was appointed as 100 generals by Wang Gui, and Wang Gui also appreciated his talent and paid great attention to this young general. Now looking at the general's expression, it is estimated that this person has made military achievements and attracted the general's attention again. Just, the next second. Unexpectedly, Wang Yi shook his head and said, "It's not him." Everyone widened their eyes in confusion. Wasn't it him? Has there been another fierce figure in the army? Otherwise, how could it attract the attention of the generals? At this moment, Wang Ting ignored the expressions of the crowd. He stared at the name of Yang Chen on the bamboo slip and looked at the number of his beheadings below, filled with surprise in his heart. Are you sure everything is correct? Wang Ting instinctively couldn't help but ask. Colonel Chen Fong nodded solemnly, knowing naturally who Wang Yan was asking. General, the statistics are accurate. He has turned in 15 right ears and no one among his comrades has been injured or killed. Currently, his military achievements can be verified by all his comrades. Upon hearing these words, Wang Yan's eyes became even more surprised. He looked up at a general in the camp and asked. General Cheng, do you know that your unit has a soldier named Yang Chen? General Cheng heard Wang Xian's question and felt a bit puzzled. General Cheng asked a soldier why. How can he remember the name of a soldier? I will never know this. General Cheng said awkwardly. Wang Ting nodded. It seemed that this guy had achieved such feats for the first time, otherwise as the general of the department, he would definitely remember. General, this guy is he. General Cheng continued to ask in confusion. This guy. This guy is amazing, he even beheaded 15 people. Wang Ting smiled and spoke to several generals. What? Several generals suddenly widened their eyes upon hearing this. And he's also an infantry soldier. Wang Jian continued to add. How many generals have grown their mouths now, infantry? Not a cavalry. A soldier actually beheaded 15 people. And the key is that this battle didn't last too long before both sides withdrew, so this guy even killed 15 people. At this moment, they finally understood why Wang Xian had shown that expression just now. TSK, this guy is so brave. This is not just about bravery, this guy has great strength. Hey, I didn't expect such a powerful soldier to emerge from the army. Haha, under my command, I must have seen this guy. In an instant, several military commanders were surprised and began to discuss. Alright, after the war achievements are publicly announced, there is no dispute about beheading. I also want to see this guy. Wang Xian waved his hand and interrupted the discussion of the few people, then looked at Colonel Chen Fang. Immediately publicize your military achievements. If there is any dispute, report and verify it quickly. Yes. General. Chen Fang nodded seriously and quickly left. Watching Chen Fang leave, Wang Yan's eyes sparkled with light. He knew that this guy's military achievements were highly likely to be true. The soldiers of the Qin army must obtain the enemy's designated head level or have their ears cut as proof of their military achievements. Secondly, they must be publicly announced for 3 days without any disputes in the military before they can be considered as military achievements. If it is discovered that military achievements have been falsified, not only will those who falsely report their military achievements be severely punished, but those who testify on their behalf and conceal them will also be severely punished. Nowadays, in marching and fighting, there can be no act of killing good deeds or taking credit, and countless soldiers are present. If they commit fraud, it is also easy to be discovered. Unless this guy doesn't want to live anymore. Yang Chen, Wang Yan remembered the name deeply and turned around to look at the generals again, continuing to discuss the matter of war. And the military supply officer Colonel Chen Fang, along with several soldiers, arrived at the campus of the camp. In the school field, countless soldiers gathered for training and rest. With the arrival of Chen Fang, many soldiers immediately noticed it, and even many soldiers knew Chen Fa, who was responsible for military merit statistics, and knew that he was ready to start publicizing military achievements again. Numerous soldiers gathered one after another. Chen Fa looked at the countless gathered soldiers and climbed onto a high platform, standing on top and loudly speaking. Ladies and gentlemen, the achievements of the previous battle in Liqing have been counted and announced today for 3 days. If there is any dispute, it must be reported to this general within 3 days. Report it now. Those who haven't heard it clearly can come and verify later. Chen Fang finished speaking loudly and then asked the subordinates next to him to start reporting. The soldier next to him spread out the bamboo slips and started reciting them loudly. General Zhang Hu's troops. Jia E Battalion, Wu Chang, Wen Tian, beheading level 1 inch. Jia E Battalion, soldiers, Wei Si, beheading 1 level. Countless soldiers below are carefully listening, fearing that their military achievements may be wrong. Many soldiers were listening, while countless soldiers were whispering. Alas, just when it was my turn to go to the battlefield, the Zhao army withdrew without even engaging with the enemy. Me too, these guys are really lucky to be able to go to the battlefield early and achieve military success. I hate my heavy armor for injuring someone but not being able to behead them and not achieving any military merit. Next time, I might as well go barebacked. I envy these guys. Next time I'll fight to the death, I'll have to behead 1 person. I killed 2 people to the death by beheading them, but 2 of my comrades in the same army also died. Alas, without calculating our military achievements, we will fight in vain. Hey brother, you should be grateful that your merits and demerits are equal. You don't need to be punished. If the other 2 people don't kill each other, it will be disastrous. I killed 3 people this time, but unfortunately only received the certificate of beheading 1 person. However, none of us in Wu died or were seriously injured. We can finally be granted the title. Everyone was discussing, and soldiers had various emotions such as sighs, remorse, envy, disappointment, excitement, and excitement. Military achievements, this is something everyone wants to achieve. Slave servants and other lower status individuals can use military achievements to change their status as slave servants, becoming ordinary civilians, and even becoming human beings. Military achievements can also be used to pardon imprisoned relatives, alleviate or reduce one's own guilt. More importantly, one can obtain a title based on military achievements. With a title, one has land, fields, and servants to rely on for survival. The entire family will benefit, and the originally tragic life will be changed. Moreover, military achievements can be passed down to children, and the entire descendants will benefit. For this reason, these ordinary civilians who were originally at the lowest level were all desperately trying to kill the enemy and earn military merit. P.S. The new book requires everyone's support. We are looking for flower reviews, monthly tickets, and other forms of support. Thank you. Chapter 7. Fame gradually spreads, fierce soldiers in the army. Kneel down. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the huge campus, Chen is also present. Listening to the discussions of countless soldiers around him, Chen couldn't help but sigh. The fact that Chen was able to dominate the world is closely related to the military merit and title system established by Yang. Due to the birth of the military merit and title system, the fighting desire of people from all walks of life in the state of Chen was fully mobilized, truly making the Chen army the army of tigers and wolves. The soldier was still reading aloud, while more and more soldiers gathered on the campus, making it incredibly lively for a moment. At this moment, Ding Yiying, by Jian, Wang Jian, beheading level 5. A familiar name passed into Yang Chen's ear. Yang Chen widened his eyes a bit incredulous, he was sure he had heard it right. Wang Jian. Sleeping trough, Wang Jian is actually in this army. Yang Chen was extremely surprised in his heart. Unexpectedly, the famous general Wang Jian, who helped Qin Shi Huang unify the world by fighting in the 6 kingdoms, is now in the same army as him, and he is only 100 generals. Yes, I remember this guy seemed to have started to show his head in a series of battles during Wang Gui's capture of Shandong County. Yang Chen suddenly remembered some of the records he had seen before and thought to himself. Hey, this guy beheaded at level 5, TSK, his personal strength is not weak either. Yang Chen chuckled. The number of beheadings reported in this report was his personal number. Now that Wang Jian is 100 general, 100-person general, the true evaluation of military achievements depends on the beheading situation of his team. Upon hearing Wang Jian's announcement, it was evident that there were also waves of loud noise among the soldiers. Beheading level 5, this is a remarkable achievement. And this has reported nearly 100 people, except for 2 guys who have decapitated at level 4, now only he has the highest number of decapitations. At this moment, on the left side of the campus, a young general in full military attire was standing with several soldiers in the same attire. They are none other than Wang Jian and several soldiers who are also 100 generals. Upon hearing the announcement, several respected generals bowed to him and spoke. Wang Baijiang is indeed brave and capable of beheading at level 5, it's amazing. Congratulations to Wang Baijiang. The total number of beheadings by Wang Baijiang's troops this time is probably 50. Wang Jian smiled and shook his head, saying, there are less than 50 people, and the total number is only 40.7. A few people all admired and envied upon hearing this. This guy not only beheaded 5 people himself, but also led his troops to kill more than 40 people. I don't know how many people were seriously injured or killed in your department. Someone asked and said. 7 people were seriously injured and 6 were killed in battle. Wang Jian smiled slightly, without concealing anything. A few people listened with their eyes wide open, both envious and amazed, looking at Wang Jian. 47 enemies were slain, 13 died from serious injuries, and 30.4 were beheaded. In order for Baijiang to elevate his title, he must first have a number of beheadings, and secondly, the number of beheadings by his own troops must be at least 33, in order to advance to the first rank. I admire General Wang Bai's ability to lead troops. There are so few deaths and injuries. TSK, now Wang Baijiang has been promoted to the first level of nobility again. It's enviable. A few people spoke more and more respectfully. Because they knew that the opponent was not only promoted to a higher rank, but also had such military achievements, and would definitely be valued by General Wang Gui and entrusted with important positions. When the military is promoted, it is very likely that they will become their generals. You don't need to be polite, you can also make this contribution someday. Wang Jian smiled and said without any arrogance. A few people forgot to glance at each other as they listened, their eyes showing bitterness. They were all 100 generals, but after several major wars, they were unable to achieve the corresponding military achievements, and their titles never rose. Their military achievements are not enough, so naturally their official positions are also difficult to improve. Just as a few people were speaking, the sound of the announcement continued to ring. Soon, a notice about Yang Chen rang out. Bingwu Camp, soldiers, Yang Chen, beheading level 15. A loud voice sounded on the school field, as if to determine if there was any problem with Yang Chen's military achievements. The soldier's voice was specially increased. Wang Jian and a few others who were chatting, as well as countless soldiers on the campus, listened to this announcement and their eyes widened in disbelief for a moment. They thought they heard wrong. But soon there were many screams of surprise echoing beside them. Sleeping in a trough, beheading 15 people. Oh my God, is this a general? General, didn't you hear that? This guy is just a soldier, just like us. Crouching trough, fierce soldiers in the army. I feel so tired that I can't even wield my sword after slaying 2 heads with all my might. How did he do it? TSK, Nyo Bai, behead 15 people. This guy is going to rise to prominence now. I remember before, there seemed to be an incredibly brave general who beheaded 9 people alone. Oh my goodness, this guy actually killed 15 people. Countless screams of surprise echoed through the crowd, and waves of discussion grew louder and louder. Wang Jian, who was originally calm, now has a burst of light in his eyes. 15 people. Good guy, he's just an ordinary soldier who actually killed 15 people. This person's bravery and strength are very strong. In an instant, Wang Jian became interested in this name. If this person can be used for me and kill enemies under my command, I'm afraid my military achievements will be even higher. Wang Jian thought to himself that since he had joined the army, he should establish higher military achievements. Just thinking that I am only 100 generals now, I'm afraid this character won't even reach my subordinates. Not only did Wang Jian sigh, but many generals such as military marquises and captains in the school also sighed. Qin Army's wartime military positions. Commander-in-Chief, Garrison-Chief, 100 generals, 500 generals, 2 or 500 generals, Marquis of the Army, Colonel, General, Assistant General, Deputy General, General/Superior General. For a moment, the entire campus was filled with intense discussions. And Yang Chen's name quickly spread among the military. Countless soldiers and generals have remembered the name of this fierce man in the army. Chapter 8. General Summoning and Promotion to 100 Generals. No. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Half an hour later, the soldier finally finished reporting. The entire campus has become incredibly noisy. Many soldiers went to the military supplies officer's display, feeling that the number of beheadings they beheaded was incorrect, and there were also those who had disputes with other soldiers about the ownership of beheading. Within 3 days of public notice, anyone in dispute can make a new ruling. Of course, if false reporting, concealment, and wanton slander are found, Qin law will impose strict sanctions, and no one dares to easily commit fraud. Yang Chen was on the school field, and his beheading was not wrong. And there is no dispute with other soldiers. He believes that no one dares to question himself unless someone can provide clear evidence. But this is impossible. For 3 consecutive days, the entire campus was filled with noise. Finally, 3 days later, the military achievements will be announced, and the military supply officer will determine the merits based on the number of beheadings and casualties of their team. The rewards and punishments will also be determined. Inside the camp, many soldiers returned after completing their training in the school field. The public announcement has just ended, and many soldiers are still excitedly discussing their military achievements. At this moment, young Chen was also pondering his military achievements. After a few days, young Chen also had a rough idea of the evaluation method for military achievements and promotion. In the Qin army, under normal circumstances, an ordinary soldier who kills one person can be promoted to a higher rank, but of course, it must be ensured that no one in the same army is seriously injured or killed. If one of the comrades dies, then 2 must be killed in order to enter the ranks, if 2 die, then 3 must be killed, and so on. After becoming a first-level nobleman or a second-level superior, one has the opportunity to become a sergeant or deputy commander. After Wu Chang and Shi Chang made contributions, they had the opportunity to be promoted to become village chiefs and 100 generals. The evaluation of the military achievements of generals with higher military positions, such as garrison commanders, 100 generals, and even higher ranks, is linked to the number of beheaded troops. If 100 generals must have their own number of beheadings, and in addition to their own death toll, the team must have a surplus of 30.3 beheadings to obtain the rank. Now, young Chen has beheaded 15 people, and none of his comrades have died. If young Chen were to be promoted to a rank of 15 according to the standard of being beheaded by an ordinary soldier and promoted to a rank of 1. But that's not how it is evaluated. Nowadays, young Chen is an ordinary sergeant, and the highest rank he can be promoted to is only the 4th level of the sergeant rank, not more. 20 level titles. Gongshi, Shanzhao, Zanyao, Bugging, Shi, doctors, officials, and officials, 5 officials, left assistant chief, right assistant chief, left gung, middle gung, right gung, Xiaoshangzao, de Shangzao, Sish, and de assistant chief, Qing, Marquis of Guanyi and Marquis of Che. After being promoted to the 4th rank, ordinary soldiers who want to be promoted must lead troops to kill enemies as officers, and then obtain military achievements to kill enemies and advance to the rank. Just as young Chen was secretly contemplating. Step by step a soldier approached the tent and scanned the crowd before shouting, "Who is Yang Chen?" Yang Chen saw someone looking for him and asked in confusion, "I am Yang Chen. What's the matter?" Generals and commanders summon each other, and special envoys are sent to pass it on. The soldier bowed respectfully to Yang Chen, while keeping his eyes fixed on him. "I didn't expect this to be a fierce warrior in the army, so young." The soldier was amazed in his heart. Yang Chen heard that it was Wang Xian calling him, and without hesitation, he followed him away. The people in the camp behind them all looked extremely envious. The commander-in-chief of the 3 armies, high-ranking and powerful individuals, surprisingly summoned ordinary soldiers, which was the first time they had seen such a thing. Quickly, Yang Chen followed the soldier all the way to the central army camp. "Report, General, Yang Chen is here." "Soldiers, go ahead and report." "Enter." As the thick voice sounded, Yang Chen squinted his eyes and calmly walked into the camp. The camp was very large, with a spirited and white-haired veteran general sitting upright, while the generals below stood on both sides. "See General." "See you generals." Yang Chen salutes and admires these generals who have fought 100 battles. When the leader Wang Yan and the generals saw Yang Chen enter, their eyes showed surprise. They didn't expect this fierce soldier who beheaded 15 people to be so young, probably around 17 or 18 years old. This guy is actually a newcomer. My Qin army has another fierce general. Wang Yan looked at Yang Chen and grinned, with a strong appreciation in his eyes. "Hey, Yang Chen, are you a sergeant of the Liu Colonel's department?" A middle-aged general named Qing Li beside him asked. "Exactly, General." Yang Chen nodded and said. "Good kid, I've only been in the army for less than a year, and I've achieved such a feat." Cheng Li couldn't help but praise Yang Chen as he was indeed a member of the new army headquarters. "I can't tell how brave it is." The generals next to him also looked up and down at Yang Chen. They couldn't imagine that this guy didn't look incredibly strong, but he was so brave. "Yang Chen, you beheaded 15 people in this great battle and made tremendous achievements. Based on your military achievements, you will be promoted to the 4th level of nobility. As a result, once approved by the king, the county magistrate in your area will be appointed as a nobility." Wang Yan spoke slowly towards Yang Chen. Yang Chen listened, and it was indeed similar to what he had calculated. He could only enter the highest rank as a soldier. "I am as handsome as you are in your grade, and it took me 3 years to enter the army before I became a senior. TSK, I didn't expect you to have already become a senior in just 1 year. It's really amazing." Wang Yan smiled and sighed as he spoke. The generals beside them also laughed heartily. It took them several years to advance to the rank, but they didn't expect this new recruit to have been promoted to the rank in less than a year. And his grade is still so young. As long as he doesn't die on the battlefield in the future, with more practice, he will definitely be a great general again. Yang Chen listened and touched his nose, but in fact, he only had 1 battle. The general praised it. Yang Chen said politely. Wang Ting nodded and then looked at Yang Chen, hesitating for a moment before continuing. "Since you have already entered the ranks and are now fighting to lead the army, I intend to appoint you as 100 generals. What do you think?" Many generals next to them were slightly surprised and looked at Wang Xian. "I didn't expect the general to place so much importance on this guy, appointing a new recruit of less than a year as 100 generals. Although this kid is powerful and brave, his ability to command troops may not necessarily be strong. If this leads to heavy losses for soldiers, he will not only be punished, but even demoted. However, this guy has been promoted to the rank of a general for a long time. General, I am willing to report to you." Upon hearing this, Yang Chen had no hesitation. It's just commanding 100 people, can it be difficult to defeat him? Moreover, if he wants to advance to the rank, he must become a general. Chapter 9. The First Lottery and the List of Doctors. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay. From now on, you will be 100 generals. Wang Jian saw Yang Chen so decisive and praised him. "I hope you can make achievements in the battle again. At that time, I don't mind asking the king for your help." As one of the few influential veteran generals in the Qin state, Wang Yan was able to speak to a young soldier, indicating that he valued Yang Chen and intended to promote and cultivate him. "Thank you very much, General." Yang Chen naturally understood Wang Yi's meaning and immediately spoke loudly. Quickly, after saying a few more words, Yang Chen withdrew. Subsequently, some soldiers led Yang Chen directly to the camp where his subordinates were stationed. At present, after arriving at the camp, the soldier directly announced the commander's order. In the camp, many soldiers listened to the appointment, each one surprised and delighted. They didn't expect that the newly appointed 100 generals who led them would be fierce warriors in the army who cut off 15 people in a row. After the soldier announced his departure, many soldiers in the camp bowed respectfully to Yang Chen. "I have seen General Yang Bai." Yang Chen looked at him with a strange feeling in his heart, and he became a commander of 100 people. Seeing the admiration and respect from the crowd, Yang Chen decided to inspire them again and establish a positive image. Cough. Yang Chen coughed lightly and then looked at everyone in a deep voice, saying, "You don't need to be polite. In the future, as long as you listen to my orders and fight with me, you will be able to make achievements and be promoted to higher ranks. Yes, we must respect the mandate of 100 generals." Numerous soldiers spoke respectfully and joyfully, all hoping to make contributions and be promoted to higher ranks. The general was a fierce warrior who cut off 15 soldiers in a row, and was immediately promoted to the rank of 100 generals. Now that he is following him to kill the enemy, he will definitely not be inferior. Young Chen was very satisfied with what he saw. These guys looked at him with great eyes. Hey, finally no longer an ordinary soldier. As 100 generals nowadays, I have various rewards and salaries for my generals, not to mention food that ranks several times higher. Of course, the most important thing is that the title has been elevated to the 4th rank. In addition to receiving annual salary, Yang Chen will also be given 4 fields, 4 residences, and 4 servants. Even after the war, Yang Chen can now live a happy life. Thus, Yang Chen officially became 100 generals and began to familiarize himself with the matter of unifying troops. And the merit scale of this battle quickly reached the Xianyang Palace, and the incident of Yang Chen beheading 15 people also caused many princes and ministers to be surprised and discuss. The state of Qin was a warrior and paid more attention to these brave warriors. After the military achievements were approved by the king of Qin in the palace, they were quickly distributed to various counties and were awarded titles and rewards based on their military achievements. Today, Yang Chen is resting in the tent. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for completing the mission, first battle merit. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the secret script Yang Family Spear. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 100 points of martial god value. Ding dong, due to the host's outstanding completion of the task, you will receive an additional reward of 3 skill pills. A series of sounds echoed in Yang Chen's mind, which filled him with joy. Yang's marksmanship, this is the top-notch marksmanship in military combat. With him, Yang Chen's combat power will be further enhanced, unlike the basic swordsmanship he only knows now. And surprisingly, there are also additional rewards. System, I want to learn the Yang family's marksmanship. After Yang Chen finished speaking, he felt a very profound insight into marksmanship appear in his mind out of thin air. For a moment, gun shadows were everywhere in Yang Chen's mind and eyes. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully comprehending the Yang family's marksmanship. Indeed impressive. Yang Chen realized the marksmanship, his eyes shining sharp. If he had mastered this kind of marksmanship in the last battle, he would probably have killed a lot more heads. At present, Yang Chen used all 3 power pills without hesitation. Suddenly, the internal power in the body seemed to be at its peak, constantly increasing. Quickly reached the 9th level of the Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique. The power of the 9-fold Dragon Elephant Prajnaparamita technique has once again increased Yang Chen's combat and life. Saving abilities. System, give me another lottery. Yang Chen narrowed his eyes and decided to use up this 100 martial god points. Okay. It's in the host lottery. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for consuming 100 martial god points and obtaining the secret script Ladder Cloud Leap. Ladder Cloud Leap. Isn't this a top-notch lightness skill secret? If he can learn the Ladder Cloud Vertical, his strength and combat power will definitely be further enhanced. Yang Chen was overjoyed in his heart. System, I want to learn Ladder Cloud Vertical. After Yang Chen finished speaking, he felt a mysterious luck technique in his mind. As long as his mind moved a little, he felt as if his body was about to rise. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for integrating and connecting the Ladder Cloud Vertical. At this moment, Yang Chen couldn't help but let out a long whistle. As his combat power further strengthened, it would be easier for him to kill the enemy and make achievements. Ding dong, the main task of the system has been released. List of doctors. The host is required to obtain combat achievements within 2 months, with the lowest rank being a doctor. The reward for completing the task is Soldier's Classic and the martial god value is 100 points. Task failed. 200 points will be deducted from the martial god value. The system has released the task. Upon hearing the system sound, Yang Chen's eyes shone sharply. Doctor. That means you must be promoted to level 1. Now he is 100 generals, and if he wants to become a nobleman, the entire team must behead 30.3 people in order to become a nobleman, except for their own death. To completely behead 30.3 people, there must be a certain scale of combat, otherwise it is difficult to achieve. Fortunately, there is enough time, 2 months. And there will be no shortage of war in the future. Young Chen has plenty of opportunities to make contributions. In recent days, the atmosphere of war has enveloped the army, and various siege equipment is rapidly being crafted and transported. It is obvious that this is an attempt to capture Licheng. Siege. Enemies are denser, beheading will be easier, and it is time to establish military achievements. Step by step, as Yang Chen was thinking about it, a soldier came to the camp and respectfully saluted. Report to General Yang Bai and Marquis Jun, please gather at Marquis Jun's camp as soon as possible. Chapter 10. Trapped Soldiers, Bloody Battle Begins. New. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I got it. Yang Chen nodded slightly, his eyes sparkling with light. If he guesses right, it must be a meeting about preparing to attack Licheng. Moreover, the generals and generals above, such as General Bu, must have already discussed the battle plan. It's their turn to discuss and execute it specifically. This is like in later generations, after the great leaders held a meeting to formulate the overall direction, it was the turn of middle-level leaders to discuss the tasks assigned, and then the small leaders held a meeting to discuss who should carry out the tasks. Yang Chen did not delay and quickly went to the Marquis' camp. Now he is only 100 generals and cannot affect the decision-making of the entire army. As expected. It is precisely the battle of attacking Licheng that is being discussed. When the Japanese army arrived in Licheng a while ago, Wang sent troops to occupy the passages leading to various cities in Licheng, cutting off the supply and reinforcement of Licheng. Now I am about to break through Li City with a large army. Yang Chen's troops were infantry and were one of the main forces in this siege. After a long discussion, the leaders of each department went to their respective teams to prepare. Yang Chen also conveyed the message to his team. Many soldiers were both excited and nervous as they listened to the upcoming siege. Excitedly, there is another opportunity to kill the enemy and make achievements, but nervously, there is also a battle of life and death to face. Looking at the expressions on everyone's faces, Yang Chen was also quite amazed. At this time, human life is really worthless. In order to obtain titles, more land, farmland, and servants, these guys have a strong desire to fight, even fearing death in battle. At this time, although various countries also had reward mechanisms for military achievements, none of them had as thorough a system as Qin, which could allow slave civilians to be promoted to nobility through military achievements. The children of nobles are still the ones who can obtain titles in various countries. This is also one of the reasons why the soldiers of the Qin state were so brave and belligerent. The tense atmosphere lingered around the army for 3 days. Finally, this day. Dong dong dong. A huge war drum sounded, and the army began to gather and move out. Yang Chen led his troops to gather in the army. Boom boom. The ground shook, and countless soldiers carried ladders, pushed various crossbow carts, and various siege equipment, heading towards Li City. 2 hours later, Licheng appeared in front of the army. On the top of the city of Licheng, countless Zhao soldiers stand tall, and they have long been prepared to defend the city, all of whom are standing guard. Boom boom. In the end, the army stopped 2 miles away from Licheng. In the center of the army, a solemn and dignified old general named Wang, dressed in military attire, looked at the head of Li City from afar, looking at the heads of people gathered on top of the city, his expression extremely cold and fierce. This battle is inevitable. Licheng is an important city of Shandong County, and it cannot be defeated. It will take time and effort to fully capture Shandong County. Beat the drum. Wang Yan shouted loudly. Dong dong dong. Suddenly, the sound of war drums in the army was like thunder, and the shaking army was filled with a surge of fighting spirit. Everyone's expression was solemn. Among the various departments, the cheers of the generals echoed one after another. Young Chen, equally serious, looked at his soldiers and shouted loudly. "Those who want to kill the enemy and make achievements, please follow me to kill them later. If anyone acts alone and shows bravery, they will die. Don't blame me for not reminding you." The soldiers around listened as they all clenched their long swords and looked solemn. In the other team, Wang Jian also had a serious expression as he instructed his subordinates. He had good military achievements last time and was promoted to the rank of 1, but unfortunately, his military position has not been further promoted. If he can make further contributions this time, he believes that with the accumulated military achievements last time, his military position will definitely be promoted again. For a moment, countless soldiers, generals, and others were waiting for the start of the Great War to establish their military achievements. Finally, after the three-way drum, General Wang Shi drew out his long sword, his murderous aura resounding with awe. Kill! Kill! The army's fierce response is not only to strengthen the army's momentum, but also to strengthen one's courage. Trapped soldiers, dare to die team, charge! The crossbowman is ready. The heavy crossbowman is ready. The pitcher is ready. Suddenly, various generals began to give orders continuously. First, countless trapped soldiers began to charge towards the city wall, holding shields and carrying ladders. Subsequently, a large number of soldiers continued to push a huge tank that hit the city gate towards the city gate. And countless cavalry on both sides stood in cold formation, in case the enemies inside the city suddenly came out. Boom boom. The ground is trembling, and terrifying killing energy is gathering. Finally, after the trapped soldiers stormed into the local crossbow range. Shoo shoo. The sharp sound of breaking through the air sounded, and countless arrows flew in. Arrows rained down from the sky and earth. Dang dang dang. Countless shields were raised, blocking most of the arrows, but still many arrows hit the soldiers. Ah! Numerous screams rang out, but not many soldiers fell. It is difficult to shoot an armored man with one arrow, even if it is hit. The soldier who knows that the chance is not high will endure the pain and continue to charge forward without risking his life. Go! Go! Countless soldiers braved their arrow feathers and charged forward. At the same time, the Qin army's deadly weapon, the crossbow, finally began to take power. The Qin army is the army of tigers and wolves. Apart from the emperor's will to fight, the decisive generals, the soldiers fighting to the death, the appropriate tactics, and the strict laws of Qin, among other reasons. The Qin army also has a world-renowned weapon. That's the crossbow. The number and power of the Qin army's bows and crossbows are the highest among the 6 countries, and they are incredibly powerful. Especially the heavy crossbows emitted by crossbow carts have astonishing power. Above the city wall, at the moment when countless soldiers had just emerged, overwhelming crossbows and arrows shot straight at the wall. Bang bang. Countless arrows rained down from the sky and earth, either piercing the city walls or hitting the enemy. However, besides countless arrows, the catapult is also starting to take power. The shadows were overwhelming, and countless soldiers above the city were horrified to see. Quickly dodge. Countless soldiers instinctively wanted to dodge. However, there are many soldiers on the city wall, and it is impossible to completely avoid them. Boom boom boom. Large chunks of stones were smashed onto the city wall, causing it to collapse, and screams of agony were heard. Some enemies were smashed into meat patties by stones without even calling out. Under the dual force of arrows, crossbows, and catapults, the trapped soldiers suddenly became much safer, carrying the ladder and running forward one after another. Finally, after a period of bombardment, the trapped soldiers arrived at the city wall and began to set up a ladder. But at this moment, the enemy's counterattack has also arrived. Countless rolling logs, boulders, fire and oil pouring down, trying to stop the Qin army from climbing up the wall. The battle surrounding the city wall was extremely fierce for a moment. And at this moment, the general under Yang Chen's command finally spoke up. "Everyone, listen to my command and charge me."